Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're gonna dive right into it again. A topic that is a little bit controversial and has been stirring quite a bit of conversation lately: gender identity in schools. Specifically, we are going to be exploring how fear-based narratives, such in religious communities, and misunderstanding around gender diversity can really influence our communities. Today's discussion aims to kind of bring a little bit of a balance and educated approach to supporting all children, regardless of their gender identity. So recently there's been a lot of debate about gender identity and LGBTQ plus rights in schools. Some people kind of claim that schools are promoting alternative lifestyles and influencing young people's minds, and that the increase in individuals identifying as LGBTQ plus is due to quote unquote social contagion rather than genuine identity. But here's the thing: these arguments often dismiss the human experience, the lived experiences of diverse individuals, and kind of fail to see the complexities of human identity. And if we start, I think we should start by acknowledging that gender dysphoria and LGBTQ plus identities are not new phenomena. They have been around throughout history, even if society's understanding and acceptance have evolved. When we look at research, it becomes clear that gender identities, especially those of transgender children, often remain consistent over time. Studies have shown that trans girls, for example, tend to choose gender-type toys more consistently than non-binary kids. This shows that these identities are deeply ingrained, rather than just being a phase or an influence or external influence, which does not lead to such consistencies. Psychologically speaking, gender identity is a deeply personal and innate sense of self of one's gender, and this may or may not align with the sex assigned at birth. So for transgender children, this alignment with their gender identity can be as strong and consistent as it is for cisgender children, like I mentioned above with the study about the toys. Research also shows that from a very young age, children have a firm understanding of their gender identity. So here we are displaying preferences and behaviors from this age that align with this sense of one's gender identity. And this, of course, may differ from one's sex assigned at birth. So understanding this aspect of identity development is very important, because it's not about conforming to societal norms or following trends. It's pretty absurd to think as such. It's more about recognizing and affirming a child's authentic sense of self. For parents, teachers, and politicians, this means moving away from stereotypes and fear-based narratives to accept evidence-based practices that support the well-being of all children. And it's very crucial to differentiate between promoting and following through medical procedures in childhood, permanent medical procedures for transitioning, and simply accepting and respecting a child's identity. So promoting medical transitions for very young children I agree is a very complex issue, and rather than having religious zealots advocating against it, we need to let the professionals research and guide our community into what is best for the children. But it's also very important to recognize the influence of big pharma companies, and I'm not saying that they do not have an influence of them pushing to boost their sales. This of course would need a little bit of a conservative approach. But acknowledging and respecting their gender identity is about compassion and understanding, and not medical interventions, not permanent changes. If we step away from the influence of capitalism and big pharma mafia, this does not mean that we're automatically aligning with the far-right extremist ideology. It just means that we're finding a balanced, thoughtful approach that prioritizes the well-being of the child. Okay, well, there are also some religious communities that I guess view gender nonconformity and transitioning as taboo, or even sometimes demonic, a demonic practice from the West. This perspective can lead to like blatant discrimination and harm. Like when I think about what the recently I came across this Muslim scholar talking about how talking against the propaganda code unquote of the LGBTQ plus community. I bring forth the Quran and how it offers a much more nuanced view. Like, for instance, it mentions mukhanasun, which refers to effeminate men. These individuals are often seen as what we might now think of as gay and transgender people. And these people existed and were recognized in early Islamic society as per some progressive Islamic scholars. And I guess understanding the physical spectrum of sex, like male, intersex, female, can also like help us appreciate the spectrum of gender identity. And I don't know why not. That this is expressed through our genes and the sense of self. Just as there are like physical variations and diversity, there are also variations in how people experience and express their gender. So now I think we need to talk about the impact of fear-mongering. Like, when religious or political leaders use fear to mobilize extreme ideologies, they create an environment of intolerance and discrimination. This is policy making and institutions allowing for discrimination at its best. I mean, in the field of social psychology, we learned that fear and misinformation can significantly influence public opinion and behavior, and this can lead to stigmatization of marginalized groups, and this, I guess, demonic view of transitioning into gender diversity doesn't just hurt these individuals, it undermines the fabric of compassionate and inclusive society. It takes away the humanity, and I guess education plays a very important role in countering all of this, like by educating ourselves and people around us about the complexities of gender identity, and with scientific research supporting it, like we can I guess foster understanding and acceptance, right? So I guess here schools could provide age-appropriate education on gender and sexuality that would ensure that these children understand these concepts in a safe and supportive environment, you see. I mean, this education should be balanced with teachings about faith and traditional family values, respecting family values. This would be a more integrated understanding. Parents here also play a very important role. Like, open communication between parents and educators can close the gaps, and then we start to then address the concerns. And I mean, by all means, parents can discuss these topics at home and reinforce the values they hold so dear, and this can help these children grow up informed and compassionate rather than fearful and intolerant, right? So like having an integrated perspective to this And to really understand this issue, I wanted to dig a little deeper into some of the research I have right now on me. There's a significant body of work that supports the stability of gender identity in children, as I have mentioned before. And for instance, a study from the University of Washington found that transgender children as young as 5 years old show a clear and consistent understanding of their gender identity in comparison to their cisgender peers. And this consistency, I guess, really challenges the argument that these children are simply confused or influenced by external factors. I guess additionally, I wanted to address the concept of social contagion that is used by certain religious scholars. And this idea suggests that the increased visibility and acceptance of LGBTQ plus identities leads to more children identifying as such, purely due to social influence. Yet, research consistently shows that while social support and visibility can help children feel safe and understood, it does not create these identities out of thin air. Children are not suddenly identifying as transgender because it's trendy. They're finding the language and support to express their authentic selves. Another argument that is made is that the number of transgender people or queer identities has been increasing, but instead from 2017 to 2019, the total percentage of transgender and gender diverse adolescents actually decreased from 2.4% to 1.6% in 2019. Again, I would say this is blatant fear-mongering and exaggerating the numbers. Also, human rights allow individuals to come out regardless of their initial fearfulness of being ostracized or hated on. By encouraging understanding and compassion, we can create a more inclusive environment where every child feels safe and valued, and their identities are not dismissed and demonized as some illness. So, advocating for a balanced approach to gender identity in schools means finding a middle ground between respecting our faith and understanding the diverse identities in our society. So by promoting an environment of education, compassion, respect, we can make sure that our children grow up informed and empathetic and capable of contributing positively to our society while staying true to their beliefs. So again, let's leave the bees to the honey researchers, and let's trust the complex discussions about gender identity to those with the expertise to guide us in this topic. Thank you again for joining me, and stay tuned for more insightful discussions. Until next time.